So, how can you do this problem in 30 seconds or less? Which of the following expressions is equivalent to this? So first things first, this expression is equal to sine of 90 degrees, which is equal to 1. Let's go through multiple choices. A is wrong, B's chances are wrong. For C, you have cosine of 66 squared plus 1 minus cosine of 66 squared. So the answer is C, chances are. For D, you have 2 sine squared of 24. The answer is C. How was I able to do this problem so fast? So we don't have a lot of trick questions on SAT, so let's try to cover this question in a lot of detail. So first things first, we need to summarize this expression, and I'm going to present a couple of formulas that you guys just need to know. So the first formula is sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B. That is equal to sine of A plus B. Now I can clearly see that in our case, A is 24 and B is 66 degrees. So hence the resulting sine is going to be sine of 24 and 66, which is sine of 90 degrees. If you do not know what sine of 90 degrees, it's 1. You can use Desmos, and of course, always remember the unit circle, right? So this is the unit circle. 90-degree angle right there, right, is equivalent to this dot, which is 0, 1, where 0 is cosine of 90 degrees, and sine is 1 is sine of 90 degrees. Okay, so we know that the answer that we need to get ABCD is 1. Now let's go through multiple choices. Option A. For option A, you need to know another formula. Which is cosine of A is equal to sine of pi over 2 minus A. In layman's terms, it's equivalent to cosine of A is equal to sine of 90 degrees minus A. Essentially, cosine of 66 is going to be equal to sine of 24. That's pretty much it. So, and vice versa. Sine of 24 is equal to cosine of 66. So we can just go ahead and convert cosine of 66 into sine of 24. So we get 2 sine of 24 and times another sine of 24, which is equal to 2 sine squared of 24. Now the question is, can 2 sine squared of 24 equal 1? The answer is no, it can't. Why? So sine squared of 24 multiplied by 2, right? If that's equal to 1, then we get sine squared of 24 is equal to 1/2. If you take the square root, we get sine of 24 is equal to 1 over root 2, or sine of 24 is equal to root 2 over 2. Now, if you remember your trig, root 2 over 2 is equivalent to sine of 45 or cosine of 45, definitely not sine of 24. So that's why A is a wrong answer. What about option B? So we can use pretty much something similar, where we have cosine of 24 is equal to sine of 66, right? So remember one more time, we have cosine of A is equal to sine of 90 degrees minus A. So cosine of 24 will be equal to sine of 90 degrees minus 24 degrees, which is equal to sine of 66 degrees. So hence, we can rewrite this B into the following. We have 2 cosine 66 degrees plus 2 sine of 66 degrees. Now the question is this equal to 1? That's our desirable answer. So let's factor out the 2. So we have 2, we have cosine of 66 plus sine of 66, that's equal to 1. Divide by 2 on both sides. We're going to get cosine of 66 plus sine of 66 is equal to 1/2. Now, if you had to square both sides, we're going to get, let's remember this other formula, right? So A plus B squared is equal to A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. So we have cosine squared of 66, I'm not going to write it, right? Plus 2 cosine times sine of 66 plus sine squared of 66 is equal to 1/4. Now, cosine squared plus sine squared, that's another formula. Sine squared plus cosine squared, or cosine squared plus sine squared, as long as it's the same exact angle, that's equal to 1. So that's why we square the whole thing, because these two together is equal to 1. So we have 1 plus 2 cosine is equal to 1/4. Now, if you subtract 1 from both sides, we can get 2 cosine is equal to negative 3/4. And then, what is 2 cos of times sine? Well, that's equal to sine of 2a, which is equal to sine of 2 times 66, which is equal to sine of 132. How do we know this? Another formula is, again, 2 sine a times cosine a is equal to sine of 2a. So sine of 134 has to be equal to negative 3/4. You can check this in Desmos and see if this is true, but this is not true. Hence, B can be eliminated. What about option C? So for option C, we need two formulas, which I already mentioned, but let's do them one more time. So first things first is sine squared of a plus cosine squared of a is equal to 1. It means that cosine squared of a is equal to 1 minus sine squared of a. So if we are to extrapolate it here, we're going to get the first thing, cosine squared of 66 stays the same. So cosine squared of 66 is the same. The second thing is the cosine of 24. We're going to apply this formula for that. So it's plus 1 minus sine squared of 24. Now, the other formula that we already mentioned as well, actually twice, is sine of a is equal to cosine of 90 degrees minus a. So therefore, sine of 24 is equal to cosine of 90 degrees minus 24 degrees, which is equal to cosine of 66 degrees. So this is cosine of 66 degrees. So we have cosine squared 66 plus 1 minus cosine squared of 66. Magically, these will get cancelled out, so this is equal to 1. And chances are the answer is C, because it just matches option 1. Finally, last option D, let's check this out. So for option D, we need to know that sine of A is equal to cosine of 90 degrees minus A. In our case, again, sine of 24 is equal to cosine of 66. So this sine of 24, I'll rewrite as cosine of 66. So we have cosine of 66 squared plus also another cosine squared of 66, which is equal to 2 cosine squared of 66. Supposedly, this is equal to 1. Let's assume that's the case. Then if you divide by 2, we're going to get it to the same cosine squared of 66, which is equal to 1/2. If you take the square root of both sides, we're going to get cosine 66 is equal to 1 over root 2 or root 2 over 2. And we know for sure that this is only true for cosine of 45. Same as for option A, if I'm not mistaken. So hence D is wrong. The answer is C. That's it.